live. I'm gonna start another live and see if we can jump on there. Let me terminate this one. I just started a new one. Let me see here. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's the issue with my devices here. Let me see.
Yeah, it's still the same. I got you open on the other phone. It's no sound.
All right, cool. All right, let's see. Let me see. I'm on a different live on another on a new one. Can y'all hear me now? Let me see. Okay, there you go. Cool. All right, let me jump on this one. Are you able to jump on this one?
Yeah.
On the, all right, let me see. Oh, can you hear me? Oh man, I'm not even the volume. Let me see. Can you hear me? Listen up. Can you hear me? All right, yeah. That sound. Oh, y'all can hear me? It's crazy. I can't hear you though, man. That's wild. I don't know what's up with my drum. I don't know why the video sound effect portrait. Did that do something different? No, it's not. All right, let's start. Let me try the sound microphone. I know y'all can hear me, but I'm struggling with hearing you. So I probably is my yeah, I can't hear nothing. That's why. Let me see something real quick. I probably can hear it on this drum. Let me see. All right, I'll call you back then. I'll call you my phone again. I'll be able to hear you on the. All right, cool. I got a little audio now. I don't know why my drum messing up like that. I don't know. Gotta get my stuff checked out, man. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm pull yourself off the line. All right. I think we might be good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, bet. All right. Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. This drum be tripping. But anyway, we got devices rolling, so we good. We probably good. Anyway, yeah, I forgot what I was saying, man. I think we were saying that. Oh yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that go on, right? So one of the other things, man, that and not every dad is a deadbeat, but you know what I'm saying. If you out here, um, deadbeating, you know what I mean. That's you. You need to, you know what I'm saying, tighten up on your duties as a father. However, sometimes you do have men that are looked at as deadbeat fathers, and it's the mother that's not allowing the man to be in the life of the child simply because he don't want to be with her. Have you ever witnessed anything like that before?
No, man. No, maybe vice versa.
What's that?
Maybe vice versa. Maybe the guy's not taking care of the kid because
Because he can't be with. Okay, I got what.
He with the woman, but
I got you.
the other way, no, I haven't seen it the other way.
I got you.
It's hard for me to even understand how a parent to like know they got a kid out there and not have any interest in, you know, raising that kid or talking to that kid or even going to see that kid.
Yeah. I've been personally, I've been in a situation. I got another guest, Miss Johnson. How you doing?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good. Well, tonight we're talking about deadbeat dads, and I guess you could, I guess attest or have your thoughts of it. But what I was about to say was, man, I've actually been in a situation where just because I didn't want to be with, or if it wasn't good with us, then I couldn't, spend time with my child, or like my child wasn't able to see me, or I couldn't get extra time that I wanted to get with them because me and the mom had friction or issues, or there was something said that she didn't like, so she made it hard for me to see my kids and stuff like that. But even in situations like that, I encourage fathers, if you have been in situations like that, I encourage you to continue to fight. If it's your weekend or whatever the time it is, man, call the police. I don't care. Do what you gotta do to see your kids. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we kind of back off if there's like the mom ain't allowing the kids or whatever like that. And I'm talking about if you got rights to your kids. You know what I'm saying? And whatever issues y'all have, sometimes those issues can roll over to the children, and then it's like, oh, well, you can't get them this weekend because you didn't send me no money. Let me ask you a question, bro. Do you think it's right that if a man doesn't pay child support, he shouldn't see his child?
That's a tough
one. Miss Johnson, what you think?
Honestly, I think he still should see his child because regardless if he's paying child support or not, outside of the financial side, a child needs his or her father. There's a certain role that a father plays, especially in a young girl's life. And that's what I can testify about, the significance of having your father and growing up and seeing how effective not having the presence of your father is, and how it affects you in your adult life. When you get older, all that child support stuff, that don't matter. You are going to be left with the long-term issues and voids and insecurities and validation issues of not having your dad. So I think absolutely they should be able to see their father.
Gotcha. What you was about to say is a tough one, Rick. Why is it tough? What's your thoughts about it?
What she said was right. I don't disagree with that at all. You do have to let both parents be involved regardless. I just think it's just a tough thing for one person to do all the financial and the other person to just kind of come in whenever they feel like that's right. It probably wears down one parent.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I agree with both of you. I think that is important that even because I mean in some cases you do have men that do want to be in their child's life, and you know what I mean, they may not be paying child support because they probably can't, you know what I mean. And I'm not saying that it's excusable, but you do have some men that may have got fired or lost their job, and they're trying to make ends meet, and then they finally get a job and they're trying to catch up with all their bills and all of that stuff like that, and it puts them in a bind. And then it's like, you know what I mean, oh, well, you haven't sent me your $500 for the month. And like, yeah, because I had to make up, for the loss that I, make up on my bill money and all that stuff like that. So, I mean, can I not see my child? You know what I mean? Huh?
Because, even if the mom loses a job, the kids still got to eat.
Yeah.
So, it's no excuses. You may not be able to pay some outlandish amount of money,
right?
But you still be able to contribute. Because what if the kid was with you? If the kid was with you,
still
whether you lost your job or not, you still have those responsibilities. So you just got to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Got it this month. I don't got it next month. You just give me some time. What if the kid was living with you? How would and then does the other parent have that same luxury? I don't have it right now. I got some bills from 2 months ago. I need to take care of it.
Right. Yeah.
The thing I wanted to kind of put out there, what you think about, right? I do know a lot of the kids who didn't find out the truth of why their parents weren't around until later years, because they were only with one parent, and that one parent is constantly projecting to the kid a story that might not be true.
Yeah. Well, I honestly think that I think it's wrong to give your point of view or synopsis of any situation to a child. I think when that child is old enough to understand and they want to ask their own questions and they want to ask both parties, then I think that would be more appropriate because, sometimes in your point of view might not be the 100% truth. You know what I mean? Sometimes our story is just the story from our eyes, or, what we did or what was done to us, all that stuff like that. But we don't know if something was provoked, or we don't know if, the other party's story. So I think that, because kids gonna ask questions, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't, give off this whatever until they're, old enough to understand, or old enough to ask both of us what happened, and they could kind of, build their own, thought process on that. Because even with one of my oldest daughter, you know what I mean, there were some things that were said that wasn't true, but it was her mom's perspective or her mom's thoughts or whatever her mom wanted to remember. And, I had this long conversation with my daughter. I'm like, girl, I always been here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you don't remember going to Chuck E. Cheese every Monday? You don't remember me taking you to get Build-A-Bear? And
Yeah.
Rick, you've been there. You didn't see me take my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese and all that stuff like that.
Like, it's a little unfair. Let's say she's 12 when y'all had that conversation. So from, however old, 6 to 12, you the villain. She's already built this who you are now, where you should be starting with a clean slate.
Yeah.
So now you have to, you had a conversation and they hear you. Don't get me wrong, they hear you.
Yeah.
But you still have to constantly tear down
the walls.
That's already there. Yeah, and the walls that's already there.
Yeah.
Because they already see you a certain way.
That's
now,
right.
for them to see you any other way, it's going to take time.
Right. I think that Miss Johnson on tonight, I think she knows either, maybe her personal story or someone that has, as they grew, they started to learn that there were a lot of myths told and a lot of lies told in reference to their father. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Miss Johnson?
Oh, absolutely. So, growing up, my parents were really young when they had me. And their situation was very different. My mom was white, my dad was black, and we was in the South. So that's already conflict from jump. So
Yeah.
whenever I was growing up, there was definitely like seeds planted, that made me look at my dad in a different light. And as I got older, I realized those things were not true. And I realized that I allowed the seeds that were planted in to drive a wedge between me and my father. And I got older and realized how untrue it was. And now I'm able, thank God, to build a relationship with my dad and to see how, awesome of a parent he actually is. But I definitely was affected by those things growing up. And I'm sure other people can attest to that too. And it's definitely not fair, to either parent if that happens.
But so how long did it take for you to, I guess, gather your own thesis and acknowledge that, your father wasn't the painted picture that, your mom was telling you?
I didn't realize that until I got old enough to actually desire a real relationship with my father. And once I realized how much I needed my dad and the actions and behaviors that I had that were coming from not having a relationship with him. And one day when it really hit me, I said, okay, I need to have a relationship with my dad. And I reached out to him. That was when we had the discussion. Okay, what you heard, what you were told, that things were not true. And so after we had that discussion, now I'm able to see it through his actions.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's cool, man. And that's important that, you had that opportunity. But, I guess a bigger question is, do you think every child would want to, even after they've been fed negative information, all of these, crazy theories about, you know, one parent and all those different things like that. Do you think that every child would still want to, you know, have a relationship with their father after the father's been portrayed as this bad person or this bad figure, or, you know, what do y'all think about that?
Well, I can't speak for every child, but I do think at a certain point in a human's life they want to know who they are, and I
Mhm.
think I I think you naturally will have like I don't want to say instinct but a curiosity to know, you know, what's real. And I think at a certain, well, I know for me, at a certain point in my life, I matured to see beyond the blindfolds that was put on me as a kid. So I think you kind of
Mhm.
grow out of that. But I can't speak for everybody. But I would say I would think so. I think it would be a natural thing.
Okay. Rick, what you think, man? Say it again.
I lost the question. Run it back, bud.
Oh, the question is, what do you think that, you know, like she gave her story about her. The question is, do you think there are other kids that maybe
Yeah.
won't reach out to their father because of the picture that was painted?
I know a few stories like that firsthand, and you know, it's a sad thing. The thing that I'm concerned with is why, like, it's so much time being lost. Like, what are some things that we could do to get some of that time back for some of these kids? Because a kid shouldn't lose all of their, you know, adolescence and then only have a relationship when they're adults because of, you know, one parent or the other.
Right. Yeah. All right. All right.
And that happens a lot. Like I know I have relate, like my dad. We had our rocky moments for a minute. We super cool now, but
Was the relationship like that because of something being said, or was that because of your own?
no, yeah, I think I acted hostile with him. You know, at first I ended up staying with just him from like 12 to graduation.
Okay. Okay.
But in the time before that happened, maybe like for like a year, you know, it was time for him to get me. I was like, now I got something to do.
I got you.
Or, you know, I'm doing something, I'm busy. And I don't think he necessarily did anything to deserve that hostility. And because of that, it took a while for us to even have a good relationship. And I think, you know, he's not as vocal as I am. You know, I'm gonna say my piece. But I think, you know, maybe it's not cool, but should a kid lose that whole stretch of years, you know, high school, middle school, whatever it is, not dealing with one parent or feeling a way about a parent because of what another parent is saying?
I definitely.
We have to wait it out.
No, I don't. I mean, what you? That's a, you know, honestly, man, that's a good question, man. I I don't think they should wait it out. However, you know what I mean. I think that when it comes down to that, I think that the picture can be portrayed the wrong way. Like, I mean, if there's honest information, but even with honest information, if you in your feelings about certain stuff, you know what I mean, you could potentially say the wrong thing and have a child looking at the father, you know, in the wrong light, and then he would never want to, or she would never want to build a relationship with their father based upon what was said. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. What you think motivates a person to be a deadbeat?
Um, Honestly, I think they because of selfishness, and that's just my, you know what I mean, my spill on. I think that it's driven by a person that is just selfish and they pretty much think about themselves, and you know they don't really have a strong care about what anybody thinks, let alone the child. My, you know, my personal, you know, situation, like with my father, you know what I mean? I try to bring, you know, I try to fix it and fix it and fix it and work on it and fix it and work on it. And it just never happened. You know, he just and one of the things that my father always says is, you know, I didn't have a dad. You know what I mean? I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a dad. And you know what I tell him is, well, you wasn't there for me. So if you wasn't there for me, and I'm a great father to my kids, then that's not an excuse. You know what I mean? Do you? I mean, do you think that's a plausible or and do you think that's a good excuse? You know, do you think it's a reliable source to say, hey, you know, my father wasn't there, so I don't know how to be there for you. Do you think that's a good enough excuse? What you think, Rick?
No. I think to start off, like, you know, all right, you don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. You could start off with that's an excuse, and that goes for a lot of different areas. But I think if you're passionate about, you know, seeing your kid reach their potential or grow up a certain way, you're going to figure it out. And I think the passion will lead you to the doors that show you, okay, these are the steps, these are the things, like these are the guidelines that you need to follow. This is the type of teaching that you need to have. If you're passionate about it, you'll go figure out, all right, this is what I should be doing for my child.
Yeah, because there's so many books out there. There's so many, you know what I mean? There's classes out there. There's no, I mean, for a person to not want to be there for their child, they just have to be a selfish individual. That's the only way that I can see it. You know what I mean? And, you know, they blame, say it again. What'd you say, Rick?
That's today, though, compared to his time. You know, information wasn't
well,
prevalent, you know.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that because we just talking about 20 years ago, you know what I mean, you still had internet, you still had classes, brotherhood classes, you know, learn how to, you know, do this class, learn how to be a father, you know, boys to men classes, all of that stuff like that. That stuff was available, bro. You know what I'm saying? If fathers today or even during that time, you know what I mean, didn't want to be in their kids' life, it's because they ain't want to. And it ain't that and I know, you know, sometimes, you know, people use that excuse of, hey, you know, I wasn't able to be there because I didn't know, and then hey, I was hurt so bad by your mom that I didn't want to do this and all that. You know, I'm like, what? I can't see that. Like, I can't see how just because you and my mom didn't work out, you can't make it right with your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know, the internet, we talking actually for like 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. You know, that was dial up. I mean, it was a different time, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, and I get what you're saying.
The
But
same as today.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Dudes being like openly emotional with their kids, like, you know, you probably couldn't do that back then.
Yeah, I still don't think it's an excuse. I don't think that, you know, if I'll say this, bro. If a person, and we know this, everybody knows this, whatever a person really wants to do, they're gonna do it, bro. If you really want to make time for somebody, you're gonna do it. And it don't matter, you know, it ain't gotta be internet or nothing like that. We talking about making time. If you want to make time for your child, you're gonna do it because that's what you want to do. You know what I mean? If you don't want to be there, you're like, okay, so if you're able to go other places and do other things and all that stuff like that without any, you know, conscious effort to spend time with your kids and stuff like that, bro, that's selfish. That's selfishness. That's not a lack of resources, a lack of information.
I mean, that's what I was, you know, the passion will get you there. I'm just saying it's not as easy. It wasn't as easy then as it is today.
As what, being in the kid's life?
I mean, getting the information.
Well, forget the information. We talking about a person actually wanting to be in their child's life.
Just take me to the park.
Huh?
They just take them to the park or something.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, yo, come pick me up. And you know, sometimes fathers, you know, and I've been in situations like this where the father will call, hey, I'm coming to get y'all, and never show up, and you know, stuff like that. Like that's that stuff. Like, You know what I mean? You don't need instructions or a manual to spend time with your kids, bro. I think that's instinct, bro. I think that's nature. You think that you don't think that that's nature or instinct?
I do, but then how do we end up with these situations where the mom and the grandma are raising all these kids?
Yeah, because one, you know what I mean. You got a lot of deadbeat pops out there that just don't want to be involved in their kids' life. You know what I'm saying? I honestly, I honestly believe that, when people aren't there for their kids, whether it's financially or visibly, I think they make a conscious effort in not doing it. You know what I mean? What you think, Mariah?
I think if you have a father, if a man has a father who was not a father to him, I think he has a perfect blueprint of what not to do as a father.
Absolutely.
And I think that gives all the more reason to know what to do, because you can easily do what you were not given. So I don't think not having a father has any type of excuse, or not having information. I don't think that's an excuse at all.
Yeah, I mean, because when I think about kids, it's like if you don't think about your child, bro, like I mean, it's
What's wrong
something
with you,
like
right?
something deficient going
What
on.
about
Like
you?
if you don't have a thought, if you can go, so one of our viewers said that some men today are going years or months without talking to their child or their child. I just can't see how a person could have a child, a part of them. A child is a part of a man. Like that's you. That's a part of you in a flesh body. Like how do you not want to make a conscious effort to just even say hey, or how are you doing, or even if it's sending some money or something like that. But I mean, just even a thought of it, like for me not talking to my kids for months at a time or years at a time, I just couldn't do it, man. I don't know. What I mean? What you got, Rick? I know you got your little boy with you, man. So I know you ain't with not talking to your son for years at a time. You know what I mean?
No, definitely not. I told you, I don't understand. I don't see how, like, you wake up every day, and this go for any parent. You wake up every day and you know that kid is out there, and that kid needs you, and you're not participating, you're not checking on them. I don't understand the logic of it at all. I got a question for you. Look,
Yeah.
with with abortions being illegal now, do you think that's gonna make it worse?
Um, that's very possible. I think that it could potentially be worse. But then again, I think that because sometimes it depends on who wants the abortion. You know what I mean? You got some that it's the woman that wanted because she's not ready to be a mother, and then you got a father that don't want to be a father, whatever the case may be. But being as though it's illegal, I think that it would compound the problem where you have a lot of kids that don't have fathers. They're just going to be fatherless, and honestly, man, it's getting worse and worse. And that's why a lot of, especially our community, is falling apart. Our community is because we lack the men. You know what I mean? We're losing our kids to a lot of other different things because there isn't any men, that are there visible, showing a positive way, a positive light, giving direction, and all of that stuff like that. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think it could potentially be worse. You know what I mean? What do you think, Johnson, Miss Johnson?
What was the question again, sir?
With abortion being illegal now, would that make it worse? Like, would it be a lot more fatherless children?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Be a lot more fatherless children
Yeah.
Or
with
kids,
abortion
yeah.
being
Do you think
illegal.
that's going to impact, like, that situation? Is it going to make it even worse? Because now you can get in a lot of trouble for it. It could be so you got to have the kid, and now where some people were choosing, hey, we both know this is not good for us. They don't have that option
Um, I don't want to say make it worse, because I feel like it's already I don't know. I feel like regardless, that would still be an issue. You know, I feel like I don't I don't no, I don't think so.
Okay. One of our viewers says, I think if a man has a baby out of wedlock, he is already planning to be a deadbeat because if you're not married to the mother of your child, you really have no say so in what kind of father you can be. I'd have to disagree with that one. I'd have to disagree. And I see what angle you coming in at, but the reason I have to disagree is because not every man that's, you got some men that are great fathers and they don't want to be husbands. You know what I mean? Which, that's not the ideal plan for a child to be, father and mother in two different houses. But you do have some fathers that are phenomenal and they had their kids out of wedlock and they just didn't see, I guess futuristically, or they just didn't want to be a husband. You know what I mean? Just want to be a dad. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that you wouldn't know what kind of father you could be if you have a child out of wedlock. What you think, Rick?
The percentages, man. The percentages alone, like it's like almost 7 out of 10, black kids being born like that.
Yeah, yeah, and I understand the standpoint, but I wouldn't say that every father that has a child and not married is planning to be a deadbeat. I wouldn't put that on that. But I mean, but the statistics do show a higher percentage, but I wouldn't say that that's the plan. I wouldn't say that that's the plan. I wouldn't say that. Mariah, what you think?
I would agree. I wouldn't think that every father's like that. Now, I do agree with Rick though, because I think there's a very high percentage, and I think it is easy to assume that or to like generally say that. But I've seen some great fathers who were not married to the mother of their child, so I don't think that's a necessary like it's necessarily that way. But I do agree and think that the percentages are high that way. That
Cool. All right, another one of our viewers said, also, I think when it comes to parenting and co-parenting, both parties can't be led by emotions alone because 90% of broken homes have nothing to do with raising the kids, but yet their parents' emotions.
that's true.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I agree with that. It's very difficult to lead or even deal with children, helping them grow into what they need to be if you're led by your emotions, because a lot of times you'll make decisions based upon your emotion and not based upon logic. The child go to this school because it's better for their education, but because it's closer to the father and you don't want him picking them up from school, you say, no, I want to send them to another school because of that. So yeah, you'll get a lot of, crazy decisions made, through illogical manner, not really, allowing the emotions to kind of take over. What you say about that, Rick?
It's true, but with it being something that's so important to both people, it's almost unreasonable to ask people not to make emotional decisions because if someone hits your kid, your emotions gonna go crazy. If they don't let you see your kid, your emotions gonna be there. Right. If you feel, I mean, it's almost like it's true. It is 100% true. But I mean, that's just a part of it. It's just something that it's something you just have to deal with. I'm not saying it's the way to go, but how could you deal with emotions without a child? Deal with a child without dealing with emotions, because people are going to. It takes a real level-headed person to sit down, put real facts on the table, and separate the way they feel and go with just the facts. It's even harder when it's a person that you so invested in, like your child, where you might want to ignore what's obvious on paper because of how you feel.
Yeah, I get where you're going, and I understand that. But I think that when it comes down to decision making, I think that it's wise to try to come within reason and try to remove the emotions out of it, because the emotions could cause you to make a wrong decision based upon how you feel, and it may not be what's the best. Sometimes what's the best for a child is not what the person is feeling, right? So say for instance, the father is more fit to raise a child, right? Or the mother is more fit. We just say the father is more fit. but because the way that mother feel versus that father, it's like, no, that child don't need to go over there about, so this mother is living in a bad condition. She has a, whatever is going on that's not, reasonable for a child to stay there. And the father has a better place for them to live and stuff like that. And, level head can get them through whatever. But emotions will say, no, these kids need to stay with me. These kids need to stay with me. Versus logic will say, okay, well, logically where you're staying, y'all, it's five of y'all in one bedroom, one bedroom, whatever, what I mean, or studio or whatever. And it's not, I got animals here and there, whatever the case may be. But sometimes the emotion of it kind of clouds the judgment as far as whatever kind of decision that should be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of our viewers said, I think that's the big thing is being willing to put an effort. Sometimes it's not about the abundance of knowledge, but instead the attempt to just be present and uh, be willing, where I'm at. Be willing to learn as you go. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Um, but yeah, man. So I think that, overall, I don't think that it's an excuse, man. I know someone personally, a good friend of mine, they're in a real bad, real bad place, you know what I mean? As far as like, mentally and stuff like that. And they haven't seen their kids in a long time. And it's because of the hurt and the pain that they went through with the parent, with the kid's mom. And I always encourage people, man. I don't care how bad the situation is with the mom, man. You have to get your kids. You gotta do something with your kids. Take care of your kids. You know what I mean? Make sure that they're doing good. Check up on them. Talk to them. All of that stuff like that, because that stuff is important, man. And I know sometimes we do just shoot the money to them. All right, they got the money. You know what I mean? And but there isn't any talks or no seeing and all that stuff like that. And I think altogether, you have to be there for that child in different aspects of their life. What do you think about that, Rick? Do you think that can you be a deadbeat and just take care of the kids financially?
No, I think my dad took care of me, financially, and he was cool. I think some of the I'm responsible for all my choices. I'm not putting that on my dad or anything like that. But I think if he would have been a little more stern earlier, I might have made some different decisions. If he'd probably spoke on certain things, and I think people may not get it immediately, but they say, if you raise a child, you teach them young, that they're going to keep that. I think that the father and the mother, it has to be some sort of like you have to be involved. Because anybody could be putting finances in there. If they don't have a face to put on those experiences, is really kind of pointless.
So are you agreeing that a father can be considered deadbeat if they just pay for stuff?
Yeah, still the same.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. All right, Mariah, what you think?
I wouldn't say a deadbeat, because when I'm thinking a deadbeat father, I'm thinking of a man who doesn't do anything. Now, if he's still supporting financially, I would consider him more so like an absent father. And here's why I said it, because the father is supporting you financially, but he's absent from his presence, his emotion, his the other kinds of support that you need, protection, and all the other things that come along with having a father. He's absent from. So I wouldn't declare him a deadbeat, but more so on the absent side. And even to go to the point where like there's even wives who have husbands and their kids, and she feels as if she's single because the husband is still supporting financially, but he's absent in presence as well. So I wouldn't consider that deadbeat.
Okay. All right. So what if what if it's a season where the child can only be taken care of monetarily from the father, and because the father maybe is too busy, or the father is in a different state, you know what I mean, or a different country, and all they do is, send money. Do you think that child, how do you think the child feel as they grow older, knowing that, okay, my dad only, sent me money and wasn't there for me? So is that, I mean, what kind of father is that? Is that just, I mean, how do we classify that, or do we even try to classify that father in any category?
I agree with what she said. Like, I don't necessarily think you wouldn't call that person a deadbeat. That's true, 100%. But they're still not like a high level parent, because that if you gotta go away for a year, go away for 8 months, whatever it is, that's one thing. But right. if you just constantly, if you consistently not there, then it's gonna be a problem, because kids they're not like really he paying the rent, he paying the light bill. That's not what they're looking at.
Right. So let me put a spin on it then. So what if the father's a military, and he's in overseas, and the mom didn't want to go overseas, and he's overseas for 7 years, and
that long. It ain't gonna be that long.
Well, I'm just saying. Hey, look, bro, if there's a war going on
in that exact situation.
Huh? Say it again.
I'm in that exact situation. Yep.
So I'm saying, so what if there's a war?
Years, though, but like I was in that exact situation.
So if there's a war going on, and this kid from 10 years old to 16 years old, for 6 years they didn't see their dad, but he was financially taking care of them, does that put the dad in the same category?
That's not real. That's too long, man. That's not real.
Huh?
But it might be like close to a year where it might be like a 2-year period, where you only see him like 3 or 4 times. And even though that's the case, I'm not gonna fault the dad for that. Don't get me wrong, but that's still tough. It's still tough to have games or be doing stuff and
nobody's coming. Yeah. So what about fathers that are in the home, and they have such a strong pull from people because of their occupation, CEO companies, vice president of companies, and they don't really spend a lot of time with their children. They're out of the house crazy early in the morning, then they come back late at night when the child is going to bed. I mean, is that how do we put that person in the, how do we classify them?
I think you said it right the first time. I mean, if it's for a season, you get any significant time kid, then you pretty much telling your kid like.
To say this, and then a couple of comments from some viewers, but one of the things that I've realized, and I was almost in this place, man, when I was working, and trying to climb the corporate ladder and all that stuff like that, and maybe my son may have something, and I got to make a decision. Do I do I go to my son's basketball game, or do I to this leadership meeting so that I could get to the top, so that I could feed him better, or so that he could be on top of whatever, you know what I mean? Have you ever been there?
Still got to circle back. So, all right, what's important?
Yeah.
How many games am I going to miss? Is it okay to miss? And yes, of course it's okay to miss a game when you got something important going on. There's do it. Let's say you did it for the whole, you know, 6-year-old or 10-year-old season. You know, you missed.
I got you. I feel you.
I think it's eligible for a time.
Right, right. Mariah, what you got?
Yeah, forgot
Are you
about me.
there? Here's something out there when you can. Them in situations. I think one of the mothers that are in situations like that, and they know that. Mariah, you said something, but I'm married or whatever like that. But you're a very busy person, and you know the you know has the responsibility, or should she have the responsibility to tell those children that, hey, you know, your dad, you know, he's working really hard, and you know he really loves you and he really wants to be here, but he had to take care of this. What do you think about that?
It would be one. It would be nice, but you know, ultimately, I still think, you know, you want to hold yourself responsible for those conversations.
Yeah, I got you.
You gonna have, if you're gonna have a minute in the day, you're gonna have 2 minutes. Like, you're gonna have some time. Like, people can act like they're super busy,
Yeah,
but you're gonna have some time where you can express that yourself.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Mariah, where you at? You talking yet, or your phone still
Oh,
messed up?
yes, sir. I'm
Okay,
here.
okay. All right. What you had to say?
Well, well, you had skipped over me a few times, sir. But
I'm sorry. Uh, hey, this is my man. This is my good friend, man. From like, yo, Rick, when we met, like 2000 and what? No, 2009. So it's my friend, 2009. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like 14 years, a friend of 14 years. I'm sorry, man. We used to do stuff, you know what I mean, a lot together. Please forgive me. I kind of got caught up in my friend, man. But go ahead. What was you trying to say?
I think I'm still on the military comment. But,
Oh, okay.
I think situations where one parent has to be absent for a season, I think it goes into the intent and the communication and the role of the other parent. So, like one of the viewers said, like it's important for that other parent to, for the children to hear that from that parent that, okay, mom or dad is doing this, Y, and Z, whatever. They love you, blah blah, you know. Um, but I do think it is also the responsibility of the other parent to show evidence of communication, making those phone calls, writing letters, sending messages. You know, there's ways that you can show somebody that you care without being present in that season and showing them you want to be there, but you can't be there in that where I'm doing this for not just me, but for you as well. So I think those things play a factor and would definitely do some great justice.
Yeah, I didn't even, I didn't even think about it like that. To have those little maybe cards and the evidence thereof to kind of show that you were there, although you were absent and you were trying to do what you could, but you were out for that specific season. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that's really good. I think that's really good. But anyway, man, we're gonna sum this up. I just want to, I'm gonna let Rick. I want you to give some encouraging words to the fathers out there that are maybe in this type of crisis, or in this situation where they are not being fathers. What would you encourage them to do, or what's some words that you would say to them tonight?
Just be present and just be passionate.
Okay.
Be passionate, because those kids are going to be looking to you, and it's a whole lot they're going to need you for, whether you think you're going to be good at it or not.
Very good. Very good. Mariah, what would you like to say, to I guess any fathers out there that are in this type of situation? What would you like to encourage them with or talk to them about?
Well, I would say that your children need you more than you would ever know. And your absence is creating a long-term effect, not just the effect of, you know, you not being there right now, or you not going to pick them up, or you coming back on your word right now, but long term, when they get older, they're going to see some major side effects of not having the presence of their fathers. So I would encourage anyone who's watching to be present in their child's life. And then also, like, from a child's perspective, I would encourage you know, anybody out there who is having an absent father, has an opportunity to build a relationship with them, I would encourage you to give them a chance despite of what has happened in the past.
Okay, I agree. I agree. Well, there you have it. I'll say this last thing, and you know, we're going to conclude our episode tonight. So, you know, to all the fathers out there, please take into consideration these children that are there without you. As Mariah said, uh, you know, it's vital that we, as men, you know, step up to the plate and be there for our kids, because they need us more than we know. Because sometimes in our mind we feel like, you know, they'll be all right without me. You know, they got their mom, they got their uncle, they got their cousin, they got this, they got that, so they'll be fine without me. But you know, in all actuality, children need their fathers. Really, I mean, like they really, you know, they really need their dads. So we encourage you, you know, break that barrier, break those walls. If you don't know how to be a father, go find a class, look something up. Just getting their life is really about. I mean, really just about being there, really, to be honest. A kid, you know, would love just to spend that time, and he ain't got to spend no money. You can take them to the park, run around, push them on a swing, whatever. Just that time could help him as well. So, but that's in our episode for tonight. I want to thank my special guest, Mr. Rick. Appreciate you jumping on tonight. Mariah, thank you so much for getting on. To our viewers,
Can I
everybody have a wonderful night.